Hi, welcome back. We're glad if you're still listening and didn't cancel us after the last episode. So
Thank you.
today is going to be a little bit more serious. We're going to talk about a couple of things that have kind of plagued us both since childhood and throughout our lives, and kind of like how we've realized that these things are still affecting us as adults.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched upon it a little bit, like in one of the many tangents we had in last week's episode of, the ripple effects and how things that happen to us as kids and, how it just translates into adulthood, and
Yeah, we did talk about it a little bit, like the whole like be a good girl thing and how, I still deal with people pleasing and stuff like that. But one thing I really want to talk about that I struggle tremendously with is body image. I know this is like something that like you've had to deal with as my husband.
I know it's like like I said, get back to like the memes, like we said, it's just like it's like me looking at my wife and yeah, it shows like it was like a wife, like she's like, oh, like me after putting on a few pounds and pumping out a few kids. It's like my husband, he's like the only thing I'm worried about is getting a boner. Like,
yeah, it's the Steve Carell, like
Steve Carell on was that like meme? Yeah, exactly that. So, but go ahead.
No, I think like for me, having had 3 biological kids and 3 C-sections, I have what is known as the C-section shelf that won't go away no matter how much weight I lose, and it drives me crazy. And I
love it.
And I know Kyle's always loved my stomach, but I hate it. I hate it, and it drives me crazy because we'd be like, "Well, like you're beautiful, like I love it," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I hate it. Like, just let me get a tummy tuck and be done with it."
Right. I mean, that's like the things that like I need to get better about, because like in the conversations that we would have, right? I'm like you tell me about it, I'm like, yeah, well, I love it.
Yeah. Well, I love it.
And you should keep it. Like, and you're like, well, I hate it. I hate it. I'm like, okay, now I'm listening.
Yeah, because remember you were like, I think like if you do get a tummy tuck that like you'll miss it. And I'm like, you could not be more wrong. I'm like, you don't understand that literally since I was, oh my God, for as long as I can remember, I have like stood in front of the mirror and been like, oh my God, what would I look like if my stomach was just flat? Because I never had a flat stomach. Like even in my absolute best shape, like in high school when I was cheering and playing soccer, I always had like a little tummy. Like it's just the way my body is. And I've always hated it. And I think like, and I don't want to shit on my mom because my mom's the best. And like my mom, was only 17 when she had me, and she had her own traumas and she had her issues issues of like, I need people to know that I'm a good mom because I'm so young. Like she didn't want people to look at us and be like, oh my God, of course her kids are dirty, or of course her kids are chubby because she's a teen mom.
Well, right, that's I mean that's actually something that she's talked
about.
She's like, I mean, I think, not for nothing, I mean, I think an episode with her about that, because like she's openly talked about it a lot with us, about like, and how like that's something that like things that she's had to learn to deal with and overcome and recognize, things things in how she was with you guys.
Yeah, and I'm really fortunate in that sense because she has like really done the work and she keeps on trying to improve, and I can openly say something to her and she doesn't take offense to it or get defensive.
She wants to learn more.
She does. Yeah, she's
get better.
Yeah, she's open to hearing what I have to say about it, which is why I'm somewhat comfortable talking about this, because still part of me is like, oh, I shouldn't talk about this. But it was very important to my mom that we look a certain way. Very important to her. And so, you know, I have memories of like, there was a year in high school that I didn't cheer. I took my sophomore year off of cheering. I was just kind of burnt out from it. I had done it my whole life, and I ended up going back my junior year, which I was so happy that I did. But I gained like, I think 15 pounds or something. And I know it bothered my mom. And I have memories of like coming down the stairs, like wearing something and like thinking that I looked good in it. And my mom would say like, you can't go out wearing that. You can't go out wearing that. And I think it's like really something that I never thought of it when I was younger. I would just be like, okay. And I would go change and I would have my feelings hurt, but I wouldn't think too much about it. But I do think now I'm so hypercritical of myself. And I think kind of growing up with that in the back of my head has really affected me even now at 37.
Right. Yes, I mean like in that part, right? Like, so it's like it's like, how is it how do you think it's like translated? Like, obviously it's changed you and how you are as a parent too. It's just like it's like one of those things is it's like, and learning that and realizing that and how like it's changed the way and how like we don't say anything.
Yeah, I try really hard not to comment on the kids' bodies or like say, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like even saying like, oh my God, that looks so good on you is like, can be a little bit of like a backhanded compliment in a way, like not, you know, and I don't know. It's something that's...
It's great. You know what's funny is that I never thought of it like that until you just said it. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, it looks good on you. So like,
do other things not look good on me?
Right. It's just like, because like coming, like now that you're saying it and now like I'm looking at it with a different lens, I'm just kind of like, and how that kind of comes off in sounds and then how you can interpret it.
Right. Instead of it just being like, well, you look beautiful in anything, right. You know, and like it's...
But you do look...
Oh, thank you. If only I believed it. No.
Those some of your lies. No.
Yeah. You know, I try to implement it with the kids. Like, you know, Mia's always crazy about her hair or whatever. And I'm like, but your hair looks good no matter how you wear it. Like, you look pretty with your hair down. You look pretty with your hair up. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like even calling them pretty is like not the right thing to do, you know, like especially like with the little ones. Like, I don't feel like we should comment on their looks or their bodies, that it should just be more like, wow, like, look at your legs. They're so strong. They carry you throughout the day. Like, you can jump for an hour on the trampoline. Like, that kind of thing is like more like the body talk that I want to have with them. But I just think like, especially with girls, like the, wow, you're so beautiful, or like, wow, that outfit is so pretty on you is like, and I know this is something even you've tried to do with the girls. Like, you'll ask Camila like, oh, how do you feel in that outfit?
Right, because like not even realizing it's like this goes to show you like in how much like we really work hard and understanding like it's in these formative years that how we say things to our kids is how they're gonna interpret and handle relationships as they get older. Like, so for instance, when it comes to my girls coming to me, and obviously like they'll do fashion show, like they got some clothes, like they're like, oh, put it on, stuff like that. It's like they're coming up to me, well, how do I look? And I saw something and it really hit home to me. It's just like, so how I answer this is going to basically be like, well, I need my dad's opinion to validate how I look in something. So therefore it translates to them as they get older. I need someone to validate whether or not if I look good, not so much of I feel good.
Yeah. And I wish that I had that like intrinsic belief, like, oh my God, like I'm beautiful no matter how much weight I have on me or how much I don't have on me or how, you know, if my face is breaking out or, you know, because I'm so hypercritical of myself that like I'll be like, oh, this outfit is nice, but like, look at my arms. I can't wear this out. Or like, I won't even look at pictures of myself or videos of myself.
Yeah, because like this like times that like you'll ask me like, oh, how do I look? And then like I'll tell you that like, oh, you look gorgeous. You're like, oh, well, I hate it. And I'm like, what even like where's this even coming from?
Yeah.
And you know, kind of getting back to like Camila, like real quick, like one thing I will do differently with like Camila, well, just with the kids in general, like, oh, how do I look? Well, most importantly, how do you feel in it?
Yes.
Like, how do you feel? Like, when you look at yourself in the mirror, like, how do you feel? Well, I love it. I'm like, kiddo, that's what matters.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Like, that you love it.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're feeling yourself, like, feel yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
and they do, because even if I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you're so beautiful, do you know that? She's like, yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah. She does like the little,
yeah.
Like, you know, and that's
but
what
then it's like, you're not even, I don't know, like, to me, it's like, and our kids are beautiful. They have traditionally beautiful faces, but does that even matter? Like, they're so beautiful as people, right? Like, they're so kind. They're amazing sisters. They're funny. They have these personalities that, like, we couldn't even dream up, you know? So why do we feel the need to comment on their looks? Right? I wish that wasn't something that I went through as a kid. But I mean, I think most people do, right? I think it's just kind of how society is. But I know, like, as a woman, getting called pretty or beautiful or whatever, like, that gives you so much outside validation. And then, you know, you put on weight or your face changes or you're pregnant or you're breastfeeding and now your boobs are down to your belly button and all that stuff. And now you're like, okay, but if I'm not pretty anymore or my body's not great anymore, then what even am I?
Damaged goods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what goes through your head. It's just like you're like, and then it's just all these different things. And then it's such a vicious cycle, because then it just, you know, it's like that cycle that you enter that now you just cannot get out of it. Like, it's just, and then it starts getting progressively worse and worse. And then it starts affecting your relationships and things like that. So a lot of people don't understand, like, and how it can spiral from there if you let it naturally. But it's like, to get them back to, you know, how it was, you know, for me, like, it's funny because we'll go back and look at photos. Like, both of us had a lot of weight on ourselves at one point. We're still feeling the fuck out of ourselves because like I look back at those like Miami photos, and like now we look at it now, we're just like, yee. But when we were there, like, I was feeling myself. I thought I was like freaking smooth cruise, freaking. I did you there with the little leather pants, some of the, I mean, like the
shorts,
shorts, stuff like that, like
yeah, I was wearing a crop top. Yeah,
like, it's like we looked great. Like, it was because of like, that was like our love. It was just something. It was so different. Like, it's like I never saw you anything different. Like, you were my wife. Like, I loved you in every.
Yeah, you've loved me at every.
I loved you at every single stage.
Yeah,
like, and I've been obsessed with you at every single stage.
Yeah, for sure.
I've never loved you any differently. I've loved you like I said, I'm stupid in the head about you. So it's like, but it's things that now, in realizing that, it's like, there's no amount of love that I could give you that's going to fix that, because it's not for me to fix.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's something I have to fix.
Right. It's something that because I could tell you till I'm blue in the face. I can show you, I can reassure you, I can do all these different things to you if it's something in how you perceive yourself. Like, and it's like the same thing. It goes into like body dysmorphia. Like, it goes into like,
oh, I literally have it.
Yeah, like, it's like you look at yourself in the mirror, like, and like, there's times that I've said to you, I'm like, you know, there are times that I really wish that you could just see yourself with my eyes. You know what I'm saying? I've said that to you, and you're like, yeah, I wish I could.
I wish I could too. Yeah. Or like through the kids' eyes, right? Because I think like they don't even, it's not even something that they think about. They just see me. They just see their mom. Like, they want me no matter, you know what I mean? Like, I think like, oh, I don't take pictures with them if like we're on the beach or whatever, because I don't, and then I'm like, but then they don't have those pictures. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And they don't see me any, you know what I mean? Like, they just see their mom that loves them and plays with them, and they're going to want those pictures of me no matter what I looked like at the time.
Yeah.
So I know that, like, logically, right? Like my brain.
I never even thought of it like in that sense.
Yeah, and I know that logically, like my brain, like I've evolved enough to know that, but I'll take the pictures, but I won't look at them. I mean, I have legitimate body dysmorphia, like to the point that like, so I've lost 50 pounds, right? If I have like a bad day of eating, and this is a whole nother thing about like foods that are intrinsically good or intrinsically bad, or like it's just like a whole thing, right? But that's probably a whole nother episode. And then say I'm like out at a store and I'm passing a mirror. When I go to pass the mirror, I literally think that I'm going to look at myself and I'm going to have those 50 pounds back on me because I ate bad that day. It's very, very messed up. You know, and I think it's kind of contributed to like my disordered eating because I either am like all in on eating healthy or I'm like, I want, you know, I'm going to spiral and eat like shit and I'm not going to exercise. I'm very all or nothing with it. Like we've talked about, like I need like a very disciplined situation to get to lose the weight that I want to lose instead of just like being consistent with my eating and exercising. I feel the need to like go all in. Even like when I was gonna run that half marathon, like I went from like not running to just running 6 miles a day because that's just like my mindset on things. Like, and I ended up injuring myself, you know, because that's not how you should do things. But I want like that instant gratification. I want like that, like, I need to lose these other 25 pounds because I want to be the weight that I was in high school. That's like my thing right now, right? And I want it fast. So what is my thought process? Like, let me do 75 hard again, because then I'll stick to it and then I'll lose the weight fast instead of just like eating mostly healthy and like going for a walk every day. And eventually, you know what I mean? Like, and you know, maybe in 6 months I'll be at that weight. But for me, it's like that goal of like being at my high school weight is like almost what's going to give me, I'm not sure like the word that I'm trying to find right now, but like then I'm going to be good. You know what I mean? Like then I'm going to be good. So, you know, I think like for me, it's like getting to my high school weight. Like then I feel like, okay, like then I'll be good. Like then I'll finally feel like, oh, this is the body that I want. Right.
Yeah.
But I know logically, like that's not true. Right. I think
then because then you're just going to find the next flaw. And that's kind of like,
it's the whole anywhere you go, there you are. Right. Like I could lose all that weight, but I'm still me, and I'm still gonna fucking find something that I don't like about myself.
Yeah, that's crazy. That I actually really like that. Like I've never heard it like that. But you're right. I mean, like you and I have gone to this conversation plenty of times before, where like it's like you tell me, oh well, this is what I want to watch. Like I'm like, I would ask you, I'm like, if we could snap a finger right now and you could be who you want to be, like what would it be? Oh, I would boom, 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 boom.
Flat stomach and perky boobs again.
Tummy tuck, blah, blah. Mind makeover. Like that. Like, and I'm just kind of like, okay. And then it's just like, and then it just goes to the next thing. And it's just like.
But it's kind of sad, right? Because it's like, I'm so much more than my body.
Right.
Right. And I know that. Like, I'm a loving wife. I'm a loving mom. Like, I'm kind. I'm a good sister. I'm a good daughter. Like, I'm funny. Like, you know, I'm a good friend. Like, I have such a full and happy life. But this is my Achilles heel. Right. This is like I've had such a hard time getting out of this when it comes to my body.
Yeah. For me now, my Achilles heel has been, obviously, I was very over sexualized as a kid. So therefore, what was once something that kind of, like, I wore like a badge of honor, was something that it ended up almost like destroying me.
Yeah.
I think about it as a kid, and like, I was exposed to sexuality at such a young age, right? And I just think of it as that it's like my mind, and and obviously as you're a kid, you're trying to navigate these feelings, and it's not something that you talked about. It's not something that it was discussed. You're just navigating these emotions and these feelings all over the place, and like you're just experimenting. You're doing this, you're just doing that, and it's all these different things. And
I mean, you're so young, like your brain actually doesn't have the capability to process what you're seeing. And then if you can't bring it up to a safe adult,
you're just left there to kind of figure it out on your own. So I remember, like, being a kid, like, I was putting myself in precarious predicaments since I was 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you think about that, like, Jesus Christ, 10 years old.
yeah,
And like you're doing these things, right? And and a lot of it had to do with the fact too of that, like, especially as a male, right? As a man, like it was white this time. Like for me, it was almost like bonding with like my father. Like it was kind of like having a bunch of girlfriends, like bagging as many girls as you could. It's like, yeah, the man, you're a stud. Like, you're all these different things, right?
that was how you showed that you were a man,
Correct.
right?
Like, this equaled this.
Yeah.
And that was how it was. And so, like, for me, but I think about like the absolute carnage I left in my path. Like, I used to just play with girls' feelings. Like, I would like awaken like the love in people, like the love in a female, like with no intentions of loving them back, other than just to get what I wanted out of them, to feed my own selfish desires because of how I perceived love, and what this kind of like this like animal that was inside of me. It was like this sexual nature of me. Like I've always talked back to, like, I'm like, we're someone, like, we're animals. Like,
Yeah.
the way it's a carnal feeling, right? Like, so here I am. I have like this innate desire and kind of like a hunger that I need to basically feed, right? And I would feed.
Yeah.
But with no idea as far as why I did it. And it's something that has plagued me for like my whole entire life, in the sense of that, like, I constantly was just going from like girl to girl to girl to girl. Like I could just never be alone. I never wanted to be alone. And for a long time, I was validated by having a girl in my arm. And that was like my validation, in the sense that, like, I wasn't a man unless I had one or two girls. Or the way, because this is how fucking gross my mind was at the time, of like, well, how many horses you got in the stable?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like looking back, I'm like, yeah, I was thinking full stable. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it was those things that I look back and like I hated about myself. And that's the thing is, like, in those times, like, I've had relationships with great people that, all they wanted to do was just be there for me, and like I just shit on them, and it's like things like that I think about, like how many, and like who knows how I could have now that's changed their trajectory.
Yeah.
And how they view relationships, how they view men, how they view things like that. And I'm like not even thinking about like, and how many trajectories I've skewed because of my own skewed view, right?
All the collateral damage.
The collateral damage, like the ripple effect. It's like not understanding, like, and where all that goes. And it's like, but not only that, it's also just like not even like now I think about it now, it's just like in how much more I think intimacy matters to women than it does to a man to a certain extent. I think it's like when I view it now, I feel that, for women, for a woman to give herself to someone, like you're giving like a part of like your soul, like it's like you're giving so much of a part of like your emotions and then like your heart and everything. Whereas I think men can really like, we can be selfish, I think, like, and like we can view it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's something that like, it also meant women the opposite way too. Like, but the thing is,
I do think generally, like for guys, it can be just sex more than it can be for women. Not saying that it never can just be about that, but from my perspective, like just speaking for me, for sure. Like I kind of always took sex more seriously. Like I was never like a one night stand type person. You know what I mean? Like I was like in relationships, that type of thing, because it just was never something that I felt like that like I could just do it and not have any feelings attached to it.
And that's the thing is like for me, like a part of like how screwed up I was in the head that like I used to like I would like my game was like, and this was essentially the way how I said it, the ripple effect. Like my game was like I would want you to become obsessed. I'd want you to fall in love with me. I would want complete and utter control over you. And then I'd bring you here just to drop you.
Yeah.
And that's like, I look back, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, dude, you're a sick. And that's so much of what, I think about like what I grew up seeing, like, and I never saw any, like, I see like I used to see like my dad, like, just flirting and, you know what I'm saying? Like, things I was seeing directly.
Yeah, and I think like that's just what you thought being a man was, right? And I think like, you think like, oh, like kind of like for me, like, oh, once I get to this weight, like then I'll be happy. And for you, it's like, well, once I have sex with this girl, I'll be happy. Or like once I bring home the once I come home with two girls and they're fighting over me, then my dad will finally be proud of me.
Yeah, it's like, right? So that's just kind of like in a way, it's like, it's most, because that's the thing is like my dad like essentially like lived through me. Like it was kind of like one of those situations that like we didn't realize at the time that like, I remember like hearing like some of like at the paisas and stuff like that when they said, he's like, oh man, he's like, you guys get the baddest girls and stuff like that. Like, and like, it was like almost like they're like, oh, hey, call over some of the girls that day you guys. And it's just like, I'm not even thinking of it, but like, yeah, cool, like, and stuff like that. Like, not even thinking anything of it. And then it's just kind of like, and like, it was, and like, hey, yeah, come over here. Like, yeah, I'm getting called to the big kid table. Like, you know what I'm saying? And, we get called over and it was like, we were like applauded. And, it's like, I think back, like, obviously, like, then at the time, like, in the time, like you felt like the fucking man. Like, you felt like, like, it's like, you're just swinging in the room. Like, it's like, yeah, look at me. Like, it's like, you're just, like, strutting, And you just chase that feeling. You just chase that. And that's what I did. And so for a long time, those are things that brought me happiness. But in all reality, it was a shell. It wasn't true happiness. It wasn't true happiness. It was just, but you know what it was? It was that instant gratification, like kind of like how you were saying, like it's that instant gratification. That's why you're always chasing it.
You've said like it feels good while you're doing it, and then you would say right when you were done, you would be like, why the fuck did I do this?
There was so many times that like I put myself in these positions where I'm like, I should not go to where I'm about to go. I would go, things would happen, and I'm just laying there. I'm like, what the fuck did you just do? Like, I'm literally like, I'm just saying to myself, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here right now? And not even understanding, like, and then just shaking it off. You know what?
Yeah, and doing it again. Yeah.
And doing it again.
Yeah.
Then doing it again. It's like, and that's what I was saying. Like, it's like that thing that you just don't understand. It's like being on the roller coaster and like not knowing that you can get off at any time.
It's the beast you can't tame.
Right. And so like, so now like fast forward, like I'm like this for the majority of my life. Like I am like, I am just meeting girls, talking to girls. And that's why I always said about like, if I met you at any other point in my life, we would not be here right now.
Right.
I said that to you. I remember like one time it's like, Nana said it to me. She's like, oh, I think Mexico. I'm like, no, Nana. I was like, not who I was then.
Right.
I was like, I would not have allowed that to happen because I was just so in my own shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just wouldn't have been. Like, and which is so funny because you and I probably were always like this throughout life. And like, there was times that our paths have crossed, right, probably most likely, but and yet it was just never destined to meet at that point in time. And, like I said, it's just like, if it was any other time, you would have just been a victim.
Right.
Or you would have just been that person that I built up just to drop.
Yeah.
And it's something that it took a lot from me at some points where it was something that I had to dig really deep. And like, there's a few of them, like when I think of like my like high school sweetheart and stuff like that, where I've like gone back later on in life and apologized to them. Like, I'm sorry, like I shouldn't have just did that to you, and like other people that like were good people to me that I'm like, I was really a shitbag. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And like, just, in hopes that like, obviously it doesn't change anything that I did, but it's like, at least it made me feel better about knowing that like, I'm somewhat cognizant of it, but I was still doing that shit. Like, it was so fucked up. Like, and it's like, I felt bad, but I didn't. And I became like this massive manipulator. Like, man, like at one point, like I'm juggling like 7 girls. They all knew about each other. That was a fucking crazy part. They all knew about each other, and it became a freaking contest.
Yeah. I can remember you like telling me all this, like when you.
Yeah, when I had my cell phone the second date. Yeah.
Or third date.
Yeah.
Third date at least.
Yeah. I had my cell phone.
And obviously we've had so many instances like this throughout our relationship where I've been like, like that's not like how things should be, right? Like, I need you to like can we just have a reality check here? Like, that's not normal.
Well, right. And like, so like, but for understand, like in my life, that was completely normal.
Oh, I know.
You and I talk about that all the time, that like my normal and your normal are 2 different normals. Mm-hmm. Because you only know what you know. If your life is what it is, it's horse blinders. This is your reality versus this is my reality. This is what it is that I go, because you know what it is. Everybody that's in my reality all does the same exact thing.
Right.
And then so for you to say, well, your reality is not normal. Well, how dare you? Like,
what? Everyone's doing this. Everyone's doing this.
You guys aren't doing this? You're the weird one. Get out of here. Like that. Like, and it's those things, right? And
no, it's like what you talked about on a previous episode, when we were talking about like your ex, and you said, you would never be faithful to anybody, and you would be unfaithful with her, like that's who you would be unfaithful with. And you were telling me things like you were dating someone fairly seriously, but your ex would be sleeping over your house in your bed.
Oh, it was.
And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not
like when I think back to like certain points in like my life where I'm like literally, I had my kid's mother living with me, and then I had a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah.
That was my life at one point.
Yeah.
And like, it was, I'm going to make this work because I love this girl. What? This is like the absolute mental gymnastics I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And it was because like, I just did not know what the hell love was. I had no idea what any of this shit even meant. Like, I had no idea. Like, I'm just I didn't even know what the hell I was chasing. Like, it was just something like, I just wanted something so different, so badly, that I didn't even know what it was. And if you were slightly different, I was just, oh, this is it. This is Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Like, this is exactly what it is I've been looking for. And it's like, it's not. Like,
yeah.
I just had no idea.
Yeah, this was like a really hard thing, I think, for me to kind of accept about your past, because remember, like, for a long time I would be like, well, do you miss it? Like, do you like, I'd be like, do you miss being like that? Like, because you're only having sex with me. Like, is this like gonna be enough for you? Because from everything you've explained to me, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. I always make the joke to you. I'm like, don't worry, all your personalities make up for it. It's like a 7-in-1 package. But no. It's no, because see, that's the thing, is that I found love. Like, I learned what love finally was.
But why do you think it changed for you?
I think the reasons why it did change for me was that it was that day that it was the last time that I tried making it work with my ex for the sake of the kids. And I was bouncing around the same girls I bounced around at the time. Like, it was like a rotation. Like, honestly, it was a freaking rotation.
Yeah, they were just waiting for you guys to break up so one could hop in. And
the safe, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And what's crazy was that, like, as much as that they were a rotation for me, I was a rotation for them.
Yeah.
And it was just like this. It's insane. It absolute insanity that, like, and how much, like, that reality just, it was that cycle. It was a cycle for everybody. And I'll never forget, it was like that time that, like, literally I'm like in a puddle of like my own like tears, like in the fetal position, like in my front room on the floor, like absolutely miserable, like, and just feeling so empty and cold, and just like, this cannot be life. Like, this cannot be. I remember praying to God, like, I never prayed him any harder than at this moment in my life. Like, it was my turning point. It was like where I hit like that breaking point where I am like, you did not put me on this earth for this to be life, and that this is exactly what I'm intended to do and go through. And like, if that's the case, take it now. Like, if you're a sick puppy too, like, and this is what we're here for, take it now. Take my life now. Literally, those are words I said. And I just couldn't understand it for the life of me. And I'm just praying to God. I'm like, just show me, like, what I got to do. Just give me a sign. Give me something. Give me something. And, finally, like, my alarm clock goes off. I have to get ready to go to work, put on my boots, wash my face, and like, put on a smile, like, and I'm off to work. And then as the day progressed, like, it clicked. Things started clicking. All right, dude, like, you've been doing everything this way, and guess what? It hasn't worked for you. It hasn't worked. So why are you going to keep on doing it? Let's do something different now. Go completely against it. I'm like, okay. So at that point, I chose to just be by myself. I chose to not have to run back to somebody, right? It caused for me to be in a very uncomfortable situation because of obviously now I'm going against, it's like withdrawals. It's like I've told you before, like I could not be without it. And that was another thing. Like I could not be without sex. Like I was just like, I needed it numerous times a day. And like it was just I needed that. And it caused for me to just be uncomfortable for so long that I'm just like, oh my God. But thankfully, like I met you, but it was like one of those things that when I met you and I started to get to know you, I'm like, this is different. Like this is someone who's not in my circle. This is somebody who's a complete stranger. This is somebody who's like, you were just automatically different in all respects.
Right.
And like I always said, it's just like, for me, like I always had an inclination of like, I think she's probably exactly who I need in my life. And then I met your family. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. Like I'm sold. Like it was sold. And that, because it was everything I needed in my life. It was everything. It was just like, I'm like, wow, I'm like, this is what happiness is. This is what love is. This is what family is. This is all these different things, right? And in that process, that's what healed me, right? That's what kind of vanquished that dragon of you know, I needed the validation of like all these different women and you know, I no longer, being a man wasn't freaking having all the chicks and having all that stuff. Being a man was being a good husband. Being a man was being a great father. Like that's what being a man was. Like you're taking care of your family and stuff like that. Like I learned that from like your uncles and grandpa and stuff like that. Like
my dad.
Yeah, exactly. Like I learned that from seeing them as their examples, like seeing them with their wives, seeing them with their kids, seeing them with their grandkids. I'm like, wow, like this is being a man, right? And because like I said, it's just like for so long, it's like you only know what you know. And
yeah, you didn't have that example.
No, it was, you know, and like I said, I remember like even like going to like the gym and like I work out with older guys and, you know, we'd be in the gym and stuff like that. And like, they're all like, oh, dude, like, what'd you get into this week? Or who'd you get into this weekend? Like, and it was that choke, like, and same thing. I remember like working for companies and like, like I used to work with old timers that were just like, it's like, they just wanted to just like
live vicariously through you.
Right. And not understanding that it was I was putting myself in like this such vicious cycle. Like, and it was something I couldn't get out of it, but like, and how much misery I caused myself, like how much misery I've caused for other people, how much misery I've caused for like my own kids. And like getting back to like collateral damage, like let's talk about like, you know, positions I've put like my family in, because like now I got a crazy ex that's like all of a sudden stalking us. That's all of a sudden like doing this and doing that, and then like they're trying to poison the well with other people, and then like relationships fall apart, like, and friendships fall apart. Like it was just this toxicity of like
a giant cloud of toxicity.
It was just a cloud of shit. It was just an absolute shitstorm and things like that. And it's just so funny. Like I said, it's just like I was talking about it with you like the other day. Like, you know, when I think about and how it started, and how it's something that started ever since I was a kid, like that over-sexualization, and that how I felt I needed to chase this physical touch. Like I needed to chase this, and like this, how love was measured.
I mean,
Right.
it probably changed your brain chemistry seeing it at such a young age
It did.
because it's like a dopamine. It's a dopamine hit,
Right. And so,
and then you're just constantly chasing that dopamine.
chasing a hit. Like, I'm
Mhm.
literally chasing a hit.
Yeah.
Like, and then it manifested itself into a bonding moment or a proud moment between like myself and my father, and chasing that feeling, like that next dopamine hit of like,
Your parents' love.
yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, and then getting older, having like your own kids, and then realizing it's just like, yeah, I would kill somebody. If my daughter ever brought home somebody that was like me at that time, fucking murder him.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to do that to my kid. You're not going to do that to, but
you were doing it to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, like, you don't see it that way, right? Because you're young too, and you're not seeing someone as somebody's baby, right? You're not seeing someone as somebody's daughter. But obviously, then you have your own kids, and you're like, oh, Jesus. And I mean, I would never, just to go back to my body image issues, right? I would never talk to my kids the way that I talk to myself about my body, right? But I don't even see it that way. I don't even see it that way. Like, we're talking about it, so I'm realizing it, because like, obviously, you know, you had to rewrite your brain. You had to rewire your brain and the way that you think about sex and the way that you think about what being a man is, right? And I am still like actively working on rewiring my brain about my body and why it matters so much to me, and in the way that I talk to myself.
It's like one of those things. It's just like it's that constant evolution to just wanting to just become a better person for not only for yourself but for your kids.
Yeah.
That's good.